Now let's look at using some of the built-in automation tools in Azure to just perform some different automation tasks within the VM. Now this is not Azure automation, the full automation stack that Azure has, but this is more if you want to configure a particular VM and just include some of the automation like scripting or desired state configuration. How do you do that at the VM level versus creating, a larger subscript or a larger automation account through OMS or things of that nature? So we're going to do two things. We're going to do a script that installs a web server, and then we're going to go around, turn around and do the exact same thing using desired state configuration. We'll do one in the UI, and we'll do one via PowerShell. So we'll start off by using a script to install a web server using PowerShell or using the UI. So I've got a server here running in Azure. I'm just going to log into it. And I'm going to log into it using my actual credentials. And just open a PowerShell window and you'll see that there are no web server components in this machine. So no web server installed. You can tell by the lack of the X right here. Let's use a script to install a web server. Now to do that, I've conveniently written a script. Get Windows feature web server, install Windows feature. Super simple, but that's how we like to start things. So what we're going to do is, let me clear this window down here. So what we're going to do is take that script. I've saved it as deploy web server.ps1. And it's here on my hard drive, deploy web server.ps1. We're going to upload that into a storage account. So here I've got a storage account. And we're just going to copy that script file up to the storage account. So copied up there, ready to go. Now what I want to copy is from this, well, there's two things first. Number one is on the container. I want to make sure that I do have public read access to the container. I can get access to this script file a number of different ways. I can use the primary key, I can use a shared access signature, or I can just use the URI of the file if it's public. If this is a script that's generic and you don't care about making it public, where you don't have to authenticate to get the script file, is a pretty simple and easy thing to do. A script like install web server, there's no secret in there, so that's something I can just make public. So that's made public, and I can now look at its properties, and I can come down and find the URI of that script file right here. Copy it. I just press Control-C. And I can now actually start running some script files. So as an example, here's what I can do. And we're not going to do this via PowerShell, but I want to show you what the PowerShell looks like. So we have this PowerShell command. Let's set Azure RMVM custom script extension. File URI. Paste in that path. Actually paste it down here. And then we kind of finish out the command. So what utility do we need to run? We need to run PowerShell.exe to run this particular script. The VM we want to run it on. The resource group. And the location that it's in. So I can now go run this script, and it will go into that virtual machine and execute that PowerShell command. So we're going to actually do it with PowerShell when we do the DSC side. For now, we're also going to jump back to the portal and show you that you can actually do this exact same thing very easily using the extensions on the VM. So I click Add. I go to my custom script extension, and here I don't actually need to upload it to a storage account. This will actually push it up directly into the VM. And what I want is, I forget, deploy web server. Let's double check that's what it is. Yep. So we want deploy web server. There's no arguments. It's a straightforward command. As soon as I pick it, you can see it uploads it to a temporary storage account. Hit OK, and it now submits the deployment. If I go back to my virtual machine, I was going to open Task Manager, and you'll see that here after a couple of seconds, maybe longer than a couple of seconds, but after a short time, you'll actually see that the Windows installer kicks in, and that's actually it installing the web server. So we'll just give it a second to kick in. We can see now the Windows modules installer has kicked off. And so this is the script being executed to actually install the web server component. That actual install does not take very long at all. So we'll let that finish, and then we'll go back and see that we have now installed a web server in this VM as a result of this script. So that one's finishing up. This is still going here. We'll let this churn along. So that appears to have settled down. Let's go back and check the status of our web server. And you can see that we now have installed the web server. So we're going to reset this environment a little bit and do this exact same thing using desired state configuration. And so just like that, I have removed the web server role from this VM, restarted it, and as you can see here, we're back to having no web server installed. So let's use our second VM configuration method, which is going to be desired state configuration to add the web server role to this VM. Now, obviously, to do this, you have to have a little understanding about how desired state configuration actually works. That's not the subject of this demo, but suffice it to say, it can be pretty straightforward. Here's a very, very simple example of a DSC module for the local computer that just installs IIS. So it's very simple. It's got a configuration name, which is IIS install, the node it's going to run on, which is the computer it's going to run on, which if you're planning executing this locally, localhost, Windows feature IIS, ensure it is installed, and the name of the role is web server. So we take that, we save that as a PS1 file, web server install.ps1. Everything else that we do is done in PowerShell. And so I have a script here that contains all the commands that we're going to use. I need to make one minor adjustment and just adjust my resource group name to use the variable. There we go. And so our first set of commands are just to establish a couple of variables: the name of my storage account, the name of my VM, the region, and the resource group that contains all these things. Now for this example, the one requirement for the way I'm doing it is that your storage account and your VM have to be in the same resource group. And that's not necessarily the case. There's several ways you can run this command syntactically that would allow you to use a URI, a different resource group, etc. The way we're doing it, we're just assuming they're in the same resource group. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm taking my DSC file, web server install.ps1, and I'm actually publishing it to a storage account. So let's come back to our storage account here. And you'll see I've got one container called scripts. When we publish this, it's actually going to create a container in this storage account specifically for DSC configurations. I'm going to run this, so I'm going to run this command, publish RM DSC configuration path, the name of the file, the resource group name, the storage account name, and it results in this right here. So which is a zip file containing the DSC script in a container called Windows PowerShell DSC in the storage account that I referenced. And if I refresh in Storage Explorer, there it is. The next thing we're going to do is actually apply that to a virtual machine. So to do that, we set the DSC extension, resource group name, VM name, storage account name. Now in that storage account, it's going to look for the Windows PowerShell DSC container, and then the name of the zip, whether we want to update it if it's existing, and then the name of the configuration we want to apply. The name of the configuration comes directly from the DSC file. So this is the section of the DSC file. You can have one large DSC file that has many different sets of configurations, one for web, one for file, one for Active Directory. You can do literally anything you want in here. So you just got to reference the configuration function that you want to call from this larger script. This one has one function, so it's a fairly simple example. So we're going to go ahead and run that. And nothing's going to happen for a little while, but if we go back to our VM, and as we did before, just be a little bit patient, you're going to see that the Windows installer modules are going to spin up and install the web server role. So we can see those have started to spin up. This will take about a minute in total to fully deploy. So we'll come back and let this finish and then verify that our DSC configuration actually worked. And we can see by the PowerShell window here in the background that that script is now completed. It was successful. And if we come back in and have a quick check, we'll see that the web server role is now installed. So there you actually, well, before we wrap up, let's go back and look at our extensions tab in the VM. And you'll see that we've got two extensions. We have the custom script extension and the PowerShell DSC extension. So there you have two different ways of automating some of the activities that happen in a VM, such as provisioning tasks or setup tasks, from PowerShell or from the portal when using the script extension, when using PowerShell DSC.